No, I'm saying 101.
Long programming, pair programming.
If this was for 5, if it's for 3, it's not correct.
No, yeah, please plug in. That's bright anyway.
It's the team supported.
Okay, yeah, come on, yeah, entire team, come up here. That's
Yeah.
okay. So, what you got? How did you approach the problem?
Well, we knew there was 3 cases that had to be worked out in the correct order. One, if it was FizzBuzz, and we figured we should check that first so that we don't get repeats. Depending on how we called this with the if statements, if we used ifs or switches or just using continuations, and yeah.
Yeah. So we two people in the group. We had a discussion about if we wanted to implement it with if, else if, else if. Another person in the group just wanted 3 if statements with continues inside of them, so you would just skip the rest of the code. We talked with David about that, and it's kind of like, So we just implemented it with if else's. It's the easiest readable code. You don't think about how the logic's working with continues or break statements. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward what is happening there. And then we ran it. And then we started playing around with this this coverage thing. So we made another random method just to see if things would change. We just started playing around with idea. So yeah.
What does the code coverage tell you?
We generated, well, at first it said 100% across the board, and so we were kind of curious how things would change. So we generated if you scroll down, there's
That's
this
it right there.
Yeah, we
Oh,
put a
there
hello
it is.
world.
method called Julius, which just prints a hello world, basically. And we did not test that, so our method coverage changed to 50%, but however, our class coverage was still 100, and so I figured that's because there's 8 tests for this class. Is that why?
That sounds reasonable. Yeah,
Yeah, we were kind of curious about that. However, and then of course the line coverage dropped because we're not testing those 4 lines.
And the only way that we test this code was by getting the source output once and then running it against.
Yeah, let's take a look at the test.
It's huge.
Do you want to?
I want to. Oh, no, I don't want to so much anymore.
We actually don't know if that's correct. We're taking that on a whim that our modulus operator did not let us down.
So weird.
So you wrote a test. Yeah. Do you feel that you did test-driven development?
It was a So we're eager to see how other people have done TDD.
Cool. What do you think? Questions? Feedback? What do you like? Yes.
So maybe you could have used a function for the FizzBuzz so that you can then run a unit test that maybe checks just that, so you're not like checking against the entire output, but rather maybe checking with like just a single
Individual
number
chunks.
entire. So you can kind of spot check it out.
So a method that takes a number
And then
runs with
turns
that.
out that's at least how we implemented it.
Yeah, I think I saw this group over here, and that's how they did it. That makes sense for TDD.
Question from you? Yeah.
I don't know if this is possible, but what about doing system.out.print and then because you have a 3 and you have a 5, so then it'll just print whichever one is true or both of them, and then you do a print backslash n at the end.
Oh.
So you wouldn't necessarily need that first clause.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So what do you write first to test it?
Clearly the code.
Code first. Code-driven development. Whoa, my next book. See me at OSCON this year. Okay, enough of that. Okay, anything else for these guys? Yeah! Who would like to go next? You guys were talking about your code. Let's bring you up. Am I standing in front of anybody? I'm sorry. tell HDMI, you probably need to change the input.
Oh, okay.
Laptop HDMI. Nice. Second screen.
Alright, so this is our main. It's a lot smaller than the main we'd seen previously, but obviously that's because we've got a kind of helper function here. And all that this does is just either returns the number you expect or it returns FizzBuzz, or since we're using string concatenation, in the case that it's modular by both, it's going to add both Fizz and Buzz.
I see you've got a test. What, is that test failing right now? It's got an exclamation point next to
and
it.
that's because we were in the middle of writing the test and we wanted to make sure that we saw a failure. So we had changed it here to a 4 to make sure that we saw a failure. So I'll change it to a 3, and then this test should pass. So it passes.
Cool.
That way you avoid writing test cases that are going to pass all the time.
Hey, the Wi-Fi is back.
It is.
Was your unit test testing the Wi-Fi? Okay. Oh. So we're going to Lord of the Flies here in a couple more minutes. Okay. Cool. Okay. Questions, comments, feedback?
Name of the test looks like really short.
Which one? Oh, the test?
Names of the test. You want to say what this result is in the name of the test?
Yeah, it's not super clear what int test and fizz test are doing, so yeah, we probably should.
So what would be a better name for int test?
Integer test.
Integer test. No, that would not be a better name for.
Test FizzBuzz of 2 prints 2.
Well, what we were trying to test was we basically we were going to write some more tests, but basically we were thinking there's 4 scenarios you need to test. One where you pass in a number and you get that same number back. One where you pass in a number, you get fizz back. One where you pass in a number, get buzz back. And then one where you pass in a number, get both back. So we wanted to make sure that we could see all those scenarios. So I think that's why we call this int test, because it's the one where you expect to get int back. And then we're going to write one for fizz where you expect to get fizz back, one for buzz, and then one for fizz buzz.
So you can make it like gets an int back,
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
a back test, returns int test.
So did you guys use test-driven development for this? Did you write your test first?
Not really. We did with the main test because we were having, I think we spent more time setting up the Maven project than actually writing any code. So we did use the main test to make sure we were getting the exit code we expected back. Beyond that, not really, because we kind of just jumped right into coding it, and I think we were kind of all kind of knew how to do it, so.
Hard to resist the siren that is writing code as opposed to
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
But test
Okay.
for code
But test is code too, yes. Okay. Excellent. Anything else for these guys? Yeah. Okay. Let's see here, can we will the Hangout come back? Maybe. Oh, there I am. Okay. Well, so the internet's back. Does anybody want to join the Google Hangout and drive from there, or do you mind coming back up here again? Let's come back up here. Okay, you want to go next?
Sure.
Come on. Actually.
There you go. Well, that's weird. I don't understand what is that. Resolution.
This is backwards. Oh, did you plug it into the HDMI?
Yeah.
Cool.
There we go. That's,
Yeah, I should try the HDMI.
all right. So our solution is really similar to the one from last group. We also use string detonation, and we went with we were actually able to do the version 2. So if it contains a 3 or a 5 somewhere in the string representation of the number, it also prints out fizz or buzz or FizzBuzz. And we did do test-driven development, so the history of our tests shows that a little bit. Yeah, the test names aren't as clear as they could be. We should have said like, the actual number in the test name. And yeah, all of this seems to work fine. Questions?
How did you know that you had written enough tests?
I don't know.
We run a test every time we wanted a feature,
Yeah, pretty much.
and then we stopped when we had all the features we wanted.
Cool. Any of these guys? Good. Excellent. Okay. Anybody else want to show off what they've done? Yep, okay.
We did it so many different ways.
You guys wrote every FizzBuzz.
Gotta get up and support your guy? Go ahead. That's it. Everybody up there.
You get to talk to yourself. I should get like a rubber duck.
You get might have using code is just an asshole. Feel good about it.
There's a button that'll I'm already up there.
Alright. This display make me look fat. Okay.
Alright, so. We ended up kind of changing ours, so we were bringing in the fizz and the buzz numbers instead of using 3 and 5. We were bringing them in from a command line argument, and then we would parse those, so we'd have int copies of them. And then here is kind of like our FizzBuzz calculation, where that was mod 15, but now it's mod 4 and 7 or whatever you bring in from the command line. And this is the extended version where it's not just checking if it's divisible by both, it's checking if it contains that number and the other number, like 351 or something for FizzBuzz and 3 and 1. The challenge was to have that displayed as well, so this meets both of those. And then, you got your other cases where your buzz int and your fizz int, or, it's either divisible by that or contains that number.
We did do the original version, we just did another one as well.
Cool. Did you do tests?
No.
No tests.
How do you know it works?
Yeah. How do you? Yeah. Ask the grader, right? So
We don't think this.
Can you run it?
We ran it and it worked.
Well, yeah. And so this is with 4 and 7 right here.
4 and 7.
If I can speed that up. So, with 4 and 7, you can see it's fizzing on 4 and 8 here, and it's buzzing on 7 and 14. And then you get to 28 down here, and you see a fizz buzz. And then I guess another example is that the challenge part is working.
That's
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, is that right though? 40,
tested it.
41?
Oh, because it contains.
Yeah.
It contains at least
What was that?
It contains the number 4.
Contains the number 4, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why we could have a unit test.
You have a bug here because 42 should be fizzing as well. It's not.
Good to know. Okay, so then what would be your next step then?
To run the tests. To have
Write
unit
tests.
tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Write a test. Okay.
We didn't want to write the long string of the output, honestly, to compare.
That's.
Well, I like that one where it had actual FizzBuzz functions so you could pass in something.
Yeah.
Which we get out of it.
Let's go back to your code again. Questions or comments about this code?
Well, why are you testing for fizz and buzz in the actual code?
You're talking about kind of this
Yeah.
side of the comparisons. Well, as part of FizzBuzz, the challenge, we went through the first one pretty quick and dived into the challenge where any number that contains that digit should be
So is
fizz
this
and
like getting a
buzz.
rerun on the same input? I don't know where the fizz and buzz would get generated the first time.
Those
In
are,
the command line, they
yeah,
passed it.
they have to come in up here.
So instead of having the 3
Oh.
as fizz and 5 as buzz.
It was
It's 3 and
just
5.
magic
That's what
numbers.
everybody else says. These guys will take it.
I mean, down here we have kind of the literals that we were using.
So I see a lot of duplicated text up here. Integer.toString I contains something. I think that'd be a good opportunity to refactor that into a method. Might make it a little bit more readable, and so then when someone sees this, oh right, it's the looking for both the string value and the numeric value.
Just take an int and a string and compare. Be nice.
Anything else for these guys? No? Thank you. Anybody else? Want to get up and talk? No? That's all right. Oh, yeah.
So all the quizzes are graded. If you're not getting 100%, you should be worried. I'm really lenient on them, so either you're not writing anything at all or you're barely writing anything. So try and write one sentence, and I'll give you 100%. It's pretty straightforward. It's
Right. Haikus, 150%.
oh, seriously, just try and write more than one sentence because it's hard to tell when you just write half a sentence.
Excellent. That was really good. I liked it. Let's see here. Okay. Come on, computer, come back. Oh, I need to plug you in. Okay, well. Okay. So, what did you think? Has anybody in here pair programmed before? Yeah, a couple of people. Has anybody here mob programmed before, or sort of like been in this kind of environment? Yeah. What was it like? So, what was your first impressions? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What questions you have? What might you do differently next time?
It takes time, like it starts, but once it starts, it's faster.
So there was some initial setup time getting started, but sort of like once you got into the groove, things went faster. Good. What were some of the things that made it slow to get started?
Test. We have to write before we write the code.
Test-driven development. Yeah, it seems a little awkward. I think. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, setting up the project, and then thinking of what's the first test? Getting
What was
over
that first test?
curve
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
Consensus building stuff.
Ooh.
You don't know anybody or any backgrounds.
Yeah, notice that. Yeah, the three of you were like, "What about this way? What about that way?" And it was like, two people are talking, and obviously they're both trying to solve the same problem. They have different approaches, and so trying to reconcile all of that. One thing that I did encourage you guys to do is to use the whiteboards. I don't know if they have actually. Oh, we had whiteboard markers up here. So anyway, maybe next time we can use the markers. Cool. Someone else had some feedback or some observations on test-driven development? No?
It was difficult to find time to start browsing Reddit.
Yeah. Focus. It's like, so normally when you code by yourself, you browse a lot of Reddit?
Every now and then.
Every now and then? Yeah. What would be another good question? So, who here really tried TDD? So what did you guys think?
I felt it slowed me down because that's just not how I'm used to it. And I saw right off the bat how it would do it, but then trying to change the way I would do it so it would fit easily within test-driven development. It didn't actually happen easily until you came by and gave us a suggestion.
What was my suggestion? I don't remember.
Well, to make a function that
Right.
would return something and then we could test that function.
Right. Yeah, I think the people that were able to sort of really get off the ground with TDD, instead of trying to test the whole thing or test from like the command line, which is what the specification says, right? Run your program, and here's the final output. I think, yeah, those of you that tested like the entire output, didn't have much of a test. It was kind of slow and everything. But then I think the people that were more successful with TDD broke it down and said, okay, what's the smallest thing that I can test? What's the smallest unit of work in my program? Okay, that's just taking an integer and verifying, what is it a fizz, is it a buzz, is it a FizzBuzz, or just the number? Yeah.
So do you think it makes sense to wait to test like the full thing at the end then?
So yes, I think it makes more sense to test wait until the end to test the entire end-to-end program.
So make a function that does most of the work first, and then add that function to the command line later.
Right. Yeah. So I think I've mentioned to a couple of you, saying things like, well, don't start with your integration test the main program, start with the unit test them. Sorry. So I guess I really haven't explained those concepts. So think back to like when I was developing the student application, right? On the first and second days. So what I started with was, okay, I had like my skeleton that the archetype created, and I knew ultimately that there was that example from the Project Zero, which was like, okay, when it's like a Dave, male, 3.64, here are the classes, you're going to want this output. Well, that's where I want to get to, but I don't want to start with that because there are lots of pieces, parts there. And so I said, okay, well, what's the first thing? Okay, the first thing is the name. So okay, great. I started building my student class where I wrote the test where I said, well, create a student named Dave, and then its toString should contain the string Dave. That was, for me, like the simplest thing, still correct, right? Still necessary, but that's the simplest thing that I can do, and that's where I started. And so I think that's part of test-driven development is figuring out what test should I write first? Where do I start? So the specification is all about what happens in the end. That's great, that's where you need to get to, but what's that first step? And you want to take, or as I advise, that you take baby steps. So instead of writing out, okay, here's the entire implementation of my student, and then going back and figuring out, well, what do I need to test? You say, no, what's like the very simplest thing, or what's a little piece that I can bite off? I'll write a test for it, I'll get the test working, and then I'll go on to the next little step, the next baby step. And then I think we got all the way. Well, no, you can get all the way to the end in class. But I think you saw sort of where we were going and how you then can progress, build up more and more of the application. And there, at the end, once we'd have the entire class working, then I would start writing tests for my main method where I'd parse the command line and stuff like that. And then ultimately, I'd have my entire program.
So splitting things up into functions is how you get to write test cases, basically.
I think, yes. And that's why they're called, right. I didn't finish my thought. That's what they're called unit tests. They test a little piece, a unit of your program, like a single function or a single object or a function with a certain set of inputs. And I think doing that then allows you to have this test suite that tests all the pieces, parts, and then you have more confidence when you put all those pieces, parts together that you're going to get the right end-to-end solution. Yeah?
So I think one of the things that made it hard to do test-driven development for this assignment is because I think most of us saw this as like a thing that only required one function. So it was like kind of hard to come up with like too many tests. You're only really working with a single function.
Well, even then, it's a single function, which is take the int and return the string. But you can still have lots of tests for that. But I agree.
But I feel like to implement even part of the function, I'd have to basically implement the full function, and then at that point, it's not test-driven.
Well, I don't know, because it all depends on the input, right? You think about the red-green refactor, you start out with, it's not implemented. You write your test case first, and so you do 1. So it's like, FizzBuzz of 1, assert that, FizzBuzz of 1 equal to string 1. You start there, you get everything to compile, but unimplemented, you run it, it fails, and then, okay, right, you do 1, right? So you start that way. So I think that's how, you add a new test case, you make just the existing test case pass. And that's how, yes, you build it over time. I admit, and I think, I definitely saw it here as kind of a contrived example because, you're all, smart, experienced computer science students. You look at the FizzBuzz problem and you know exactly what you need to do. It's like, aha, modulo, aha, if statements, right? Not a lot of challenge there. and so like this is the kata. It's not necessarily about getting to the result. It's the journey that you take to get there. And so the journey of test script development, or the journey of working with Maven, or working with working in a mob. That's kind of what you're learning, right? No one's gonna pay you to write FizzBuzz professionally. Sorry, please change that LinkedIn update you just made. It's I wrote FizzBuzz, originator of the FizzBuzz open source project. Okay, cool. Let's see here. What else? Tell me more about the dynamics with working in. Let's do the pairs. So those of you who are pairs, the trio back there, which is like a mini mob. What was your experience like? What were some of the things that was maybe different, or things you've done before that you were glad that you did again?
I think getting it started was our biggest thing. Is one of us wanted to do it this way, one of us wanted to do it that way, so we had to come to a consensus. Or probably whoever was driving at that time just chose a path and we all followed it.
So yeah, sort of getting to a consensus, especially how to start and how to approach it. Cool. What's the other pairs? Yeah.
I found it hard to resist not, jumping in and fixing something or, whatever.
At the same time, I found it easier when you're going down the right path, just keep going and don't interfere.
Okay. Were there some times though where like you sort of see the train wreck coming, or it's like, oh no, he's starting to write the name of the. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Good. Well, and that's why you have the pair, right? And I think it's. Yes, the driver, has a lot to do with very poor responsibility and everything like that. But I think sometimes it's harder to be the observer, right? To sort of know when to guide and know when to sort of, move, throw the keyboard away from him, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, you all experienced that, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah, it takes,
Like, should I jump in and edit the typo now? Or wait?
Yeah, it's like, oh, look over there. Oh, yeah. So, okay, cool. The mob. What was it like working like in the mob, being the one programmer and then having like 4 or 5 other people that are all looking at your code?
I would have thought it would have been petrifying.
You thought it would be petrifying?
Yeah.
And was it?
Well, maybe because the function we were writing was in some function, but I don't know. I've never coded with 4 people, like in front of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, I mean, you probably have some public speaking, experience, but yeah, public coding, and because usually, it's done like in very much the privacy of your own room behind closed doors, where people can't see the original variable names that you use, right? Yeah, right. Well, yeah, right. But this is about getting out in the open. You said it was chaotic. Is that the word you used? Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about the chaos. What was it like?
Well, first of all, I don't think we implemented the test class correctly, and that took quite a while to fix. And then we couldn't agree on what tests to make.
One thing I did mention, and maybe a learning for next time is, I sort of encourage y'all to jump right in, start using the Maven archetype. Get your screen up there and start typing. Do you think you would have benefited from just sort of taking a moment as a mob and maybe sketching some stuff out on the whiteboard? Would that maybe have, especially, maybe not so much about getting Maven all squared away, but in terms of how you approach the problem and maybe which tests to write first? I probably should have done that. So anyway, so learning for next time.
I think, if we're just starting out with, maybe one person setting that up, because it takes one person while the rest are thinking about how to approach the problem.
That's a good idea, right? So the initial driver, they can focus by themselves, or maybe two people get the Maven archetype up and running, and then while the rest of people think about the problem. Yeah, good idea. Any other observations on pairing or mobbing? No? Okay. Any other final thoughts?
I think, especially with the mob, it's very easy when you go in and sit in the driver's seat to ask, okay, well, what do I do? Instead of driving, you want to get input from it and have everyone else tell you what to do.
Right.
But when you're sitting in the driver's seat, you should be driving. But it's easy to sit back and because you're on the spot. You don't want to judge you or tell you, yell at you or anything. So you're saying, okay, tell me what to do. And it should be the other way around.
It is a very, you do find yourself in a place of vulnerability when in front of so many people. Yeah.
You know, kind of going with the driving example though, it's nice to have someone sitting in your passenger seat looking at the map for you, telling you when to take a left, when to take a right, and you can just focus on the road or the keys, right?
Yeah, I like that analogy. Sort of like, yeah, you're driving, and so the driver is focused on, am I going under the speed limit? Is there anybody in the left-hand lane? Because I want to. Right, then you've got another person in the car with the map, reminding you, okay, you're going to want to take an exit up here. Okay, yeah, there's a rest stop in a little while. Yeah, good.
So if you had two different ideas or whatnot, and they both, probably would the driver then make the final call?
Well, the driver is the one who's typing, and so when there is uncertainty, let's call it, about what to do next. I think that's when let's apply some science to it. Okay, let's go down one path and see what that feels like. Okay, does it solve the problem? Or it's like, oh wow, guess what? That it didn't work out. Or yeah, how do we make these variable names better? So I think there's it's an art. It's sort of navigating the dynamics of the group. But I think many times it's better to make a decision, try something, because we can always fix it later. Right, this is software, so it's not like we have to throw anything away. It's just like we just change some ones and zeros, and it's all in the cloud when the internet works. So, yeah, good. Yeah.
So, should some of us be at the dry erase board or something doing UML code or whatever?
Maybe, I think, yeah. So should we be doing designing up front? I think to a certain extent. I think what was useful is doing enough collaborative designs so that everybody in the pair or everybody in the mob sort of agrees on the approach. Right, that's probably about as far as you want to go. So wow, you guys had a whopping 5 minutes to read over the assignment, read over the kata before you started. And so then I think taking another 5 minutes to sort of talk about general approach, not to write all the code, but to sort of understand it. Here's how we're going to get there. That might help later down the line. UML probably not for this example, but sort of having even just like brainstorming test cases, so that you're not so much worried about writing out the test cases. You're like, okay, what boundaries are there? What are the sort of scenarios that we need to look at? Thanks for closing the door, Sean. That guy was getting loud. Okay. Cool. Sorry for trying it again next time? Yeah, maybe? Okay, cool. Those of you who paired tonight, if you want a mob, maybe, or vice versa, we can always switch. Next time, we'll be doing a slightly more complex kata, which I think might then be better for test-driven development. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn tonight? No? Well, thank you very much. Like I said, this is kind of an experiment, both in terms of instruction and then you guys working together. Go home and and think it over. If there's anything else that occurs to you, post to the Google group. Have a great week, everybody. Project 2 is due next week. Keep working on those katas, and we'll see you then.
Yeah.